Chapter 3. 8 little sailor boys traveling in Devon. One said he'd stay there, and then there were 7.
Rogers didn't let his wife's death get in the way of his custodial duties. I assume everyone has gone off on their own pursuits. I should do the same.
I asked Rogers what this Miss Brady had suffered from. In a certain form of cardiac trouble, when an attack comes on, an ampule of amyl nitrate is broken and inhaled. If amyl nitrate were withheld...
I see. No positive action must be taken. No arsenic to obtain and administer. Nothing definite at all.
And nothing could be proved against Rogers or his wife.
It explains our situation here quite neatly. There are crimes that cannot be brought home to their perpetrators by the usual methods.
A judge taking advantage of his position? No offense, Judge.
A doctor under the influence letting a scalpel slip? No offense, Doctor. The point is, it explains Mr. Unknown. He has, for reasons only he knows, decided to seek justice for certain crimes as he sees them.
And who among us is the only one that stands unaccused?
Ah, Mr. Narracott, right on cue.
Have you seen any of the others?
Before we came in here, I saw Miss Brent knitting on the patio as if she hadn't a care in the world.
Could you perform an autopsy on Mrs. Rogers?
I could, sir, but I won't. As Mr. Lombard so helpfully pointed out, it might be thought I had something to do with her death. It would be unethical for me to operate.
How much Trianol is missing from your supply?
I wouldn't know. I left the bottle with Rogers in case his wife required a second draft.
If you'll excuse me, Doctor. Have you seen any of the others?
I believe Mr. Blore and Mr. Lombard are off searching the island for Mr. Owen.
You didn't want to join them?
They are men accustomed to physical activity. I prefer to search for the truth with my mind.
Me too.
You think they'll find Mr. Owen?
Not in the sense you mean.
Where would you search for Mr. Owen?
Closer to home.
Any idea how we can get off the island?
I've allowed you to continue your own investigations, Mr. Narracott, because I disagree that being the odd man out makes you more suspect. On the contrary. But I've given you a good deal of advice already. It would be well if you thought for yourself for a while and let us get on with our game.
I am grateful for your assistance, Judge Wargrave.
Nice to have a break in the weather, although I don't expect it will last.
You don't seem concerned by the 2 deaths.
I remember a text that hung in my nursery as a child. Be sure thy sin will find thee out.
So in some way, Marston's and Mrs. Rogers' sins have found them out?
Of course. I have nothing to fear. I've committed no sin. You, if your story is true, have only been protecting your brother. God's law understands such a loving gesture, even if man's law does not.
What are you knitting?
A shawl for my niece.
It's quite subdued for a girl, isn't it?
A man would say that, of course. She is a modest child, and decent. These colors are most appropriate.
Have you seen Rogers?
He's in the kitchen, I think, preparing a cold supper.
Good day, Miss Brent. I can't walk around carrying an axe. They'll lock me up, or worse. This bears a closer look.
Maybe Owen has wings and is perched someplace we can't reach.
Or swimming around out there with the fish.
You think you'll find Owen?
If he's here, we'll find him.
Why don't you split up?
I suggested that.
The island isn't that big. I felt it was good to stick together to be sure every inch has been covered.
Have you seen Vera?
Miss Claythorne was up on Ship Rock when we searched up there.
Have you seen the General?
He was down on that little beach to the south of Ship Rock. He's definitely gaga, if you ask me.
Like he was in a trance, talking to his wife, asking her forgiveness. Creepy. He sent that Richmond fellow to his death for playing up to the missus. Make no mistake about that.
You look tired.
Miss Claythorne's concern for my well-being moves me far more than yours, Narracott. But thanks all the same.
Any conclusions?
Only that I'm damn glad I brought this along.
You have a gun? Why didn't you say something?
I would have used it if necessary.
Still, I don't like it very much.
Well, I don't care very much.
Any idea how we can get off the island?
When I was... well, a friend of mine, actually. When he was in the army, he saw a new parachute design that allowed you to steer. If you like, I can draw you a plan to construct a parachute like the one he saw.
That would be splendid. Thank you.
One parachute per order. It's pretty crude, but I think you'll get the idea. I added a list of materials, too.
Thanks. That'll be all, Mr. Lombard. It's Lombard's plan for building a parachute. I'll copy it into my notebook. That cliff is surely the highest point on the island. Nice peaceful spot you found for yourself, sir.
There is so little time. So little time.
I'm making a tour of the island, so to speak.
Quite the adventurer, aren't you?
Have you seen anything that might be useful to us?
You don't understand. You don't understand at all. I'm not sorry I came here. No, it was time. I'm content at last. It feels very strange to come to the end, not have to go on. I know now I will never leave. That's peace. Real peace.
Thank you, General. Stay well. The waves are crashing here with particular violence.
Seems so close, as if I could almost jump across and leave this island behind me.
I'd hate for you to jump, Miss Claythorne. I'd miss you.
I think I'd miss you too.
Think someone on shore could see us?
If they used a telescope like the one on the patio outside my room, I expect they might.
Could you help me sew these sheets together to make a parachute?
Better ask Miss Brent. She's placed herself in charge.
I'm sorry the job here didn't work out for you.
It was only temporary. I want to be a teacher, not a secretary. I want another chance to teach more than anything in the world.
What do you think of Lombard?
I think he's like last night's storm. Dark and wild and possibly dangerous.
But you like him even so?
I love storms.
Have you ever been in love?
I thought I was. I thought I could do anything for him.
What happened?
I'd rather not talk about it, if you don't mind.
Tell me about him, sir.
Mr. Narracott, would you think me terribly rude if I just wanted to stand here and look at the scenery before the next storm closes in?
No, I'm sorry I bothered you.
Oh, you didn't bother me. Quite the contrary. But now I'd just like to enjoy the scenery.
I need to subdue the bees first. They'll do me in for sure if I disrupt their artificial home. That goat is a menace. I wonder what these houses were used for before they were left to rot. goats. They look hungry. This thicket is rife with thorns. I can't get through it. I think I heard a click. I could be imagining it, though. I think I heard a click. I could be imagining it, though. Nothing a little elbow grease can't undo. Rule Britannia, Britannia rule the waves. Britons never will be slaves. Oh, makes the eyes water a bit. It's a shortwave radio. It could be useful if I could get it working. It seems to be missing quite a few parts. It sounds like some fishermen arguing. I need a way to try and contact them. This bears a closer look. Now I have to start again from the beginning. Now I have to start again from the beginning. Now I have to start again from the beginning. The handle jiggles but won't open. I must have dialed in the wrong combination. Now I have to start again from the beginning. I think I heard a click. I could be imagining it, though.
Ha! It's open!
There's something in this drawer. It's a lone raven-shaped earring. Let's swap the positions of the two drawers. There's something in this drawer. It's a fragment of a document. There's something in this drawer. It looks like some sort of microphone. There's something in this drawer. It's a card with some writing on it. Rule the waves, of course. What's this? A secret door. I'm surprised the electricity still works in here. This panel seems out of place. There's something here I need. Hello? What do we have here? Let me examine this further. Locked. Et voilà. current was too strong. I'd best not try that again. It'd wash me up on this beach. This could use a closer look. Let's hope that holds. The flower stuck to bits of it. Aha! A fingerprint. I don't think that's appropriate. Hello, hello. Can anyone hear me? This is a distress call. What was that? Clearly Owen does not want me here. I'd swear this wasn't here before. Must be one of Owen's little games. It opens. There's something inside. I transcribed the pertinent passages in my notebook. excellent, like hand in glove. Seems so obvious in retrospect. That's Shipwreck Island. Ah, a nice fresh glass of apple juice. I'm half tempted to drink it myself. Apple cider. From the smell, quite potent stuff too. Hello, Rogers.
Hello, sir. Was there anything you required?
Just looking around. That ham looks good.
Mrs. Rogers had a way with hams. Baked, boiled, fried, pickled, en casserole. Always a treat.
When will dinner be ready?
8 o'clock, sir. Or close to it.
Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary since you arrived here, Rogers?
Just this, sir. This house is more like a museum than a residence. I've dusted every square inch, and I found articles left behind by many previous owners, including the Robsons, that actress, and even the Admiralty. The only owners who seem to have left no mark at all are Mr. and Mrs. Owen.
I appreciate your candor, Mr. Rogers. Could you help me sew these sheets together to make a parachute?
I suppose I could. There's a sewing kit in the servants' quarters. The needles would work, but I don't think the thread would be strong enough.
Thank you, Miss Brent.
These will work splendidly.
I hope that softens her disposition towards me somewhat. Are you sure you can't tell me anything more about seeing Miss Claythorne at a hotel near St. Trednick's?
I wonder how you heard that. I was staying near the place where that boy Cyril Hamilton's death occurred. Miss Claythorne acted as if she'd never been to the place, but I see no reason to say any more about it.
I won't take up any more of your time, Miss Brent. There, the bees are now fast asleep. All quite drowsy, anyhow. Those don't work together. I should have thought of that sooner. Seems so obvious in retrospect. They ate right through the thicket, thorns and all. I think I can see a blinking red light off in the distance, but I can't be sure.
Fishing line? Yes, that would be strong enough to sew the silk sheets together.
How is the parachute coming along?
When it's done, I will let you know, Mr. Narracott.
Thank you, Miss Brent. flower stuck to bits of it. This is a good reference print for Dr. Armstrong. I don't think going through that would help. Either he's innocent, in which case I'd be grossly invading his privacy, or he's guilty, and surely wouldn't be daft enough to leave any evidence in his luggage. The flower stuck to bits of it. This is a good reference print for Miss Claythorne. Not that I think she's capable of murder. The flower stuck to bits of it. This is a good reference print for Miss Brent. This bears a closer look. This could use a closer look. Let me examine this further. The flower stuck to bits of it. This is a good reference print for Mr. Marston. This appears to match Marston's fingerprint. How is the parachute coming along?
It's done, Mr. Narracott.
Good day, Miss Brent. I should have thought of that sooner. It needs something to improve the reception. Let's hope that holds. There. Perhaps some light music will help soothe Vera's nerves. There. Perhaps some light music will help soothe Vera's nerves.
No one's hiding in there. I'd stake my reputation on it.
I've done some hunting in my day for some very elusive game. If Owen's in that house, he must be invisible. Any luck at all?
There's no one on this island except our 9 selves.
Where haven't you searched?
The woodshed. I should have guessed he might be out there.
Have you reached any conclusions?
Maybe it was just an accident and a suicide. Or 2 accidents or 2 suicides for all I know.
That'll do, Mr. Bloor.
Woodshed is empty.
This is a dead end. If Owen's buried under that woodpile, good riddance to him. Have you searched the entire island? Early days yet. Plenty of ground still to cover. Thanks, Bloor.
The wind is picking up again, and there are white horses on the sea.
Has anyone seen the good doctor?
Here I am, Judge, just freshening up in my room before dinner.
How did your search go, Mr. Lombard?
Badly, Judge. I'm afraid I found nothing and lost Mr. Bloor.
There's a squall moving in again. Shiprock's become quite windy.
Rogers? What is it, man?
The figures, sir. The figures in the middle of the table. Look, now another's gone. There's only 7. It doesn't make sense. What's going on? What's happening?
We can discuss this new development over dinner. It's ready, Rogers?
Yes, sir. It's only cold tongue and cold ham, sir.
We understand, Rogers.
Where's the General?
Last time I saw him was on that beach. You asked me about him, Narrowcut. Did you find him there?
Yes.
Did he say anything to you?
His mind was wandering.
Perhaps you'd be so good as to fetch the General, Mr. Narrowcut. We'll delay dinner for you both.
No need for that. He's dead. Down there on the beach, leaning against a rock like a stick of driftwood.
Chapter 4. 7 little sailor boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in halves, and then there were 6.
Rogers is a first-class butler. I'll say that for him.
Wife was a pretty good cook, too. Too bad we only got 1 meal out of her.
Ladies and gentlemen, back to the business at hand. I'm going to ask Mr. Narrowcut to continue his investigation.
But he's the last one who saw the General alive.
The last one who is willing to admit to it. Mr. Narrowcut?
Cause of death, Doctor? The back of his skull was crushed with a blunt instrument.
Could the General's death have been an accident?
There were multiple wounds. Unless he repeatedly slammed the back of his head against a rock, I think we can safely rule out accident and suicide.
Which confirms what we've all come to suspect. The first 2 deaths were undoubtedly murder as well.
I concur.
Time of death?
Only a few minutes before he was found. Not more than 30 at the outside.
Do you have an alibi for that period of time?
Why, the judge and I were playing snooker.
Forgive me, Doctor, but you went up to your room, if you'll recall.
Oh, of course, of course. For a moment or two only.
Thank you for your time, Doctor. Where were you during the half-hour in question?
I won't deny that Lombard and I had split up by then. I was just wondering, collecting my thoughts, you might say.
How did you come to find the body?
I'd seen the old gent down on the beach when we searched the island. He seemed pretty confused. I saw the storm coming on, knew it was almost supper time. Thought I'd collect him.
See anyone else on the beach?
No, no one.
See anything of a murder weapon?
Plenty of solid Devon rocks about. I didn't see any blood, but the rock could have just been tossed in the surf.
One said he'd stay right there, and then there were 7.
Thank you, Miss Claythorne, for again calling our attention to the rhyme. It is significant without a doubt. We have one dead from having choked himself. Another overslept herself. Now a third wishes to remain in Devon, and his wish is granted to him in a most final manner.
Thanks, Blore. Where were you during the half-hour in question?
Up on Ship Rock, where we spoke.
The entire time?
Yes, until the wind came up. I thought I should get back before the storm.
You could see the beach from where you were?
I spent most of my time on the far side of the summit. But I did move to a position above the beach once or twice. I saw you talking to the general from there.
Yes. He seemed to know he was going to die.
Could that be because you were swinging a rock at his head?
He was quite alive when I left him. Did you see anyone else on the beach?
Yes, I saw Philip. Mr. Lombard and Mr. Blore walking up the path from the beach. But that was earlier.
Anything else you can add, Vera?
No, nothing, I'm afraid.
Thank you for your time, Miss Claythorne.
Where were you during the half-hour in question?
After Blore wandered off, I went back to that ruined fishing village. It seemed the most likely place for Owen to be hiding. When the weather closed in, I made a dash back here to the house.
Find any trace of Owen or anyone else on the island apart from us?
No, I wish I had.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Not at the moment.
Do you think I should use the parachute to try and reach the mainland?
Yes, I think I'll feel a lot safer with you gone.
Could you assist me with your plan?
I handed it to you on a platter, Narracott. Surely others can help you with the menial work. I will pilot it for you, however.
That better be my job.
As you like.
That'll be all, Mr. Lombard. Where were you during the half-hour in question?
On the front patio, knitting. I'd been there since just after breakfast. You spoke with me then.
We saw her too after we'd searched the house.
Thank you, Mr. Lombard, but I feel bound to add that there were many stretches of time throughout the morning when I was quite alone.
Who else did you see?
Almost everyone at one time or another, I should think. I saw the General walk off along that path towards Ship Rock. A minute or two later, Miss Claythorne headed in the same direction.
He went to the beach. I climbed the rock.
Rogers was also near me for a time, sweeping away some of the debris on the patio from last night's storm.
Very tidy chap, that Rogers.
I don't know if it's important, but I heard someone up above me near the telescope. But I don't know who it was.
That is all, Miss Brett. Where were you during the half-hour in question?
After the doctor and I finished our game, I had a look around the library. I'm surprised to say I found one of my own books in there. I wonder which of the previous inhabitants of the island it belonged to.
Why not Owen?
My dear Mr. Blore, it was perfectly clear to me some time ago, and after your search you must realize now as well. Mr. Owen is on this island. He, or she, is one of us.
No, no, no.
Young lady, this is no time for refusing to look facts in the face. We are all in grave danger. One of us is Mr. Unknown, and Mr. Unknown has no good planned for us.
I'm a well-known professional man. The mere idea that I could be suspected of murder is preposterous.
I too am a well-known person. That, my dear sir, proves less than nothing. Doctors have gone mad before now. Judges have gone mad. So have policemen.
What do you think we should do, Judge?
Be on our guard, especially at night.
I'd suggest prayer.
I'm not adverse to prayer, Miss Brent, but I would supplement it with a locked door.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Yes. I've been asked why I trust you, Mr. Narracott, our odd man out, to lead these informal inquiries of ours. It is very simple. It is clear to me that Mr. Owen had not planned on you stopping here on the island with us.
Unless Blore is Owen.
Stow that talk, Doctor.
An attempt has been made on your life.
So he says.
Right now, there is no one I trust more to get us out of this predicament.
Prettily spoken, Judge. I know you'll pardon me for saying this, but if you are Owen, you might want a bumbling amateur on the case more than a professional like Blore.
I would hope we all answer Mr. Blore's questions with equal candor.
Too right.
Good evening, Judge. Where were you during the half hour in question?
Mostly in the kitchen, sir, preparing dinner. I also washed dishes, swept the patio, where I saw Miss Brent knitting. Quietly cleaned the game room so as not to disturb the doctor and the judge. Made the beds, and chopped some more firewood.
Good evening, Mr. Rogers.
If I may sum up, we're trapped on this island at least till Monday morning. One of us is most certainly a homicidal maniac. None of us has a clear alibi for the time in which the General met his death. Have I forgotten anything?
Yes, it's storming again.
This might be a good time to explore the house unhindered.
Our Lord moves in far more mysterious ways than you can ever hope to uncover.
Perhaps, Miss Brent, but I'm still willing to have a go. Who do you think the killer is?
Very well. I'll humor you. Mr. Blore seems the most likely suspect.
Why?
He's already admitted he's checked up on all of us as part of his supposed job for Mr. Owen. People with secrets, especially those with secrets concerning possible murders, don't make their complicity common knowledge. It would take a man like Mr. Blore to ferret it out.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim might be?
Forgive me, but I doubt he takes you very seriously. That leaves the judge as the biggest threat. Yes, if I were the killer, I'd go after the judge next.
Thank you, Miss Brent.
Come here, Mr. Narracott. Don't be shy, it's only me.
Communing with the dead, Judge?
In a way, the law is much like necromancy. We delve, the dead give up their secrets.
What has General Mackenzie told you?
Notice the picture of his dear wife. Leslie, I believe he said her name was. The glass has been smashed, perhaps by the same blunt object that did for the General.
But why?
If we knew that, we might be further along in our inquiries, don't you think? If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say it has something to do with love. It's one of the prime motives, you know. Greed, revenge, and love. Love has killed as many as either of the other two.
Who do you think the killer is?
Lombard is a man used to killing. He freely admits it. It could be a classic double bluff, plead that he is guilty so that we assume his innocence. He's used to taking matters into his own hands. If he suddenly decided for whatever reason that 10 people had to die, I doubt he'd sit still for natural causes.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim will be?
If I were you, Mr. Narracott, I'd watch my own back. Blore is all bluster. I'm past my prime. Armstrong is easily manipulated. Miss Brent's Bible provides all her answers. Miss Claythorne is like a deer caught in onrushing headlights, which is why I suppose you and Mr. Lombard find her so attractive.
You don't miss much, do you?
I miss nothing. And if it doesn't seem too egotistical of me, I can't help feeling that Mr. Owen knows that. Even intended this mystery for me. Why, I can't say, but he didn't count on you, my young friend. I'm hoping that together we may yet thwart him.
Good evening, Judge. Although I don't condone smoking, who am I to judge a judge? Are you sure you can't tell me what you were hinting at about Marston's politics?
Marsden's family was furious with him for becoming involved with a London group enamored of Mr. Hitler's expansionist policies. It's always sad when the younger son of a great family goes astray.
Good evening, Judge. Dr. Armstrong?
What? What? I must say, I don't think much of this barging in on people when they are...
Ministering to the sick?
I don't find that amusing, sir. Not in the slightest.
Dr. Armstrong, if it will relieve your mind at all, I don't think there's anyone alive on this island who truly believes you are a teetotaler.
Somehow that doesn't relieve my mind one bit.
You protest too much, then eye the drinks tray as if it were manna from heaven. You sneak off to your room to freshen up every chance you get.
All right, Mr. Narracott, you've made your point. What do you want?
Who do you think is the killer?
Miss Brent. Knitting. Always knitting. Like Madame Defarge in A Tale of Two Cities. Madame Defarge knitted the names of those destined for the guillotine. Revenge, sir. It seems an apt analogy. Also, I don't much like Bible thumpers.
Have you any proof?
Proof, sir, is for the police. I have a doctor's instincts. My instinct tells me that anyone that self-righteous and repressed might easily turn to murder. What did she call Mrs. Rogers' death? An act of God. A woman like that could easily cast herself in the role of God's sword.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim might be?
No idea, but I assure you I plan to see it as not I.
Better lock your door then, Doctor. I walked right in.
Thank you for your time, Doctor. Perhaps that will satiate the good doctor's sweet tooth.
Are you sure you can't tell me any gossip surrounding the Seaton case?
Gossip my eye. I got it directly from Sir John Matthews, KC, who was observing. Not a doubt of the verdict. Acquittal was certain until Wargrave's summing up.
What did Matthews say went wrong?
Sir John thought that Wargrave's well-known ego had grown even bigger than he himself could handle. That he swung the case against Seaton for the sheer joy of doing it, simply because he could.
That's a serious accusation.
There was another similar incident just last year. Hushed up, of course, but the word was the judge's retirement couldn't have come at a better time for him. However, I feel obligated to add that the judge still has a final brain. I have no trouble whatsoever in saying that I rest easier knowing he has put his mind to solving our present predicament.
That is all for now, Dr. Armstrong. How goes the investigation, Blore?
Better than yours, I'll wager.
Who do you think the killer is?
Rogers, of course. In my experience, is almost always a servant, and he's the only one still standing.
Rogers' background seems like an open book. He may have had a motive for killing his wife, but why kill the others?
The judge thinks it's a maniac. That's motive enough.
Even maniacs have motives that make sense to them.
Perhaps. Not being one, I wouldn't have an opinion about that.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim will be?
I'm the biggest threat to him. A professional investigator. He's lucky he's gone undetected this long. I'm closing in and he knows it.
That'll do, Mr. Blore.
Locked.
Oh, Mr. Narracott, you startled me.
Sorry, Rogers. Rogers, what are you doing?
I've already locked the door between the kitchen and the dining room. No one will be able to play tricks with those sailor boy figures tonight, at any rate.
Who do you think the killer is?
Miss Claythorne, of course.
Why?
She brought the rhyme to our attention. She seems innocent of her crime. I think it's just a blind.
Aren't you innocent of your crime?
We're not talking of me, sir. And she's the least likely suspect with drunken doctors, wily judges, religious zealots, cowardly hunters, and you, whatever you are, running about.
Usually it's the butler who's the least likely suspect.
Not where I come from, sir.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim might be?
Miss Claythorne.
But you said she was Mr. Owen.
Did I? Then Miss Brent.
Why?
There's something terrible about her. There's hard steel under those frumpy clothes. Mark my words. Owen would do well to polish her off before she gets her knitting needles into him.
Good evening, Mr. Rogers. Candy, ice cream. The next feature will be beginning shortly.
Mr. Narracott!
We can't blame him for snooping about in the dark, Vera dear. I'm afraid it's in his nature.
Were you looking for us?
For you, certainly. Who do you think the killer is?
I'd feel uncomfortable answering that.
Please try. Our lives may depend on it.
I'm surprised you value my opinion so highly. But if I were to guess, I'd be forced to say Dr. Armstrong.
Why?
Well, who else has the opportunity to cover his tracks so well? I, for one, can't dispute him if he says potassium cyanide has been used. And 2 of the 3 victims have been poisoned. Surely that points to a doctor.
Some might say to a woman.
Really?
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim might be?
Well, if I were Mr. Owen, I'd kill Philip.
Thank you so much.
He's obviously the most experienced at getting out of tight places. Wouldn't that make him the most dangerous to Mr. Owen?
Much obliged for your assistance, Miss Claythorne. And who do you think the killer is?
Wargrave. The recording called us prisoners at the bar. The whole plot smacks of a sense of criminal justice gone mad. From what Vera tells me, he let that Seaton chap swing just for the jollies. Wargrave's my bet. No doubt about it.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim might be?
Well, if I were crass and selfish, come to think of it I am, I'd pick you. I don't much like you, Narracott.
Philip?
The swine has his sights on you, Vera, if you'd only see it. He doesn't deserve you.
Good evening, Mr. Lombard. Everyone should be asleep by now. Those still awake must certainly be up to no good. Present company excluded, of course.
No, Philip, you cannot come in.
My intentions are strictly honorable. I'm here to protect you.
I wouldn't believe him.
Patrick? Are you here to protect me as well?
If necessary.
Oh, that's very gallant of you. If true.
I only have your best interests at heart.
I too.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your concern, but I will be quite all right. I intend to put furniture in front of all my doors. We all need sleep, I think. Please excuse me.
A piece of advice, Narracott. You may get the killer, but I intend to get the girl.
And if she's the killer?
Well, that will make for some rather interesting evenings at home, won't it?
I think it's time for me to get some sleep. I can barely keep my eyes open.
We're all a bit late this morning. I slept the clock round.
A sign of a clear conscience, Doctor? Or just a nightcap or two?
Uncalled for, Judge. Totally uncalled for.
No smell of coffee. The stove in the kitchen is cold.
Where's breakfast?
We were just wondering the same thing.
Miss Brent isn't in her room.
Has anyone else noticed the dining room is locked up tight?
Rogers did that, so no more Sailor Boy figurines could be broken.
He seems to have got the cart before the horse, if you ask me.
Kitchen door to the outside is locked as well.
Perhaps he's chopping firewood for the stove.
I confess I don't like it. Both Rogers and Miss Brent missing? Mr. Narracott, would you mind having a look around outside?
Certainly.
You don't mind if I tag along, I'm sure.
Good morning, Mr. Narracott. I'm afraid the sea is as high as ever. I doubt we'll see a boat from the mainland today.
Have you been wandering about the island alone, Miss Brent? Don't you realize that is an exceedingly foolish thing to do?
I'm in no danger when I'm alone, Mr. Blore.
She doesn't get it at all. I'm sticking to you, Narracott. Let's find Rogers. Rogers? Blimey, either he's a good 5 feet taller or...
Cut clean in half.
dead, of course.
Yes, we don't need Dr. Armstrong to tell us that.
Or to fix the cause of death. Axe looks cleaned off. A tidy chap like Rogers would have approved. Dining room key, I expect. He was holding it.
Rogers is now in his bedroom.
Look!